what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of the people who support me on Patreon, as massive thank you to all of you. So first and foremost, Tina Baker, massive shout out for supporting me on Patreon. TheFlatEarthChannel.com, Texas Mike, Sweet Equity, Sam Hine, Renee, I'm going to butcher this person's name, I never say it normally, Kalukia, K-A-L-U-C-E-A. If I've butchered that, my friend, I'm really sorry, but thank you very much for your support. Also shout out to Reinhardt and Qatar Craig, Paige, Love, Michael, Matt, Life is Short, scroll up my page, Kirsten Smith, Jeronism, Godrockin, Fireball X, Felix Hung, Effie Diplomat, Edwin Johnson, scroll up again, Dank, Chow Young Cat, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As The Earth, Billy Highvolt, and last but by no means least, Alistair Mine. Thank you very much indeed to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. So, for those of you in the Nathan Oakley audience, as you are, for this premiering stream, you should now be well aware, having hopefully maybe watched the live show as well, I don't know how keen the audience members are, hopefully, that Quantum Eraser's channel is going to actually launch today. Excuse me while I clear the frog in my throat. Excuse me. So yes, today, 8th of August, Quantum Eraser channel is officially launched at 8 PM UK time, 2 PM Central. So be here or be sphere. There is a link in the info box below this video to a channel ad that I've made. I've taken it and made it unlisted, but you can still see it if you want to click in the premiere stream info box to go and actually mirror that video. Feel free to do so, and obviously put a link to the video that's now broadcast for the first time, or premiered I should say, for the first time at 8 PM, as this is going out after that. But nevertheless, go and subscribe. I'll probably drop a link if I'm watching this with you in the premiering stream to his channel, so you can subscribe and watch the content that will come out on Tuesday and Thursday at 8 PM UK time and 2 PM Central time. There's also going to be Ballbusters on there, so it's the new, well, technically the real, actual, only home of Ballbusters, which is Quantum Eraser YouTube channel. So that will broadcast live from this Saturday. Again, be here or be sphere. We're joined by, I think, 10th Man and Paul. Hello, both of you in Google Plus. How you doing?
Doing well.
Doing well, doing good.
Got a few people in Discord as well. Last time I checked, I'll just go and bring up that page. Give me a second and I'll take him off mute if someone hasn't done it. No, I'm on my own in Discord. Ignore me. At least there's no protracted pause while no one says hello to me.
I was on 24/7 Discord yesterday, and Bob Nodell happened to be on there, and he was talking about it's kind of interesting data. Obviously, it's not necessarily an experiment, but it's interesting about the laser gyro that supposedly predicted a 15-degree rotation. He was saying that they actually did altitude, moved it up and down on altitude, and they noticed that the rotation was faster or something, or slower, I can't remember exactly, at higher elevations, which is interesting. Just interesting information, which means the fiber optic gyro could be picking up something different than Earth rotation. That's ultimately what it could be potentially, which I thought he said he's going to release that on Globebusters when it comes back on.
So the same movement that it picked up on Earth, if it was picked up in the sky, is that what he's saying?
Yes, and it seems to be, I think either he said faster or slower. I can't remember exactly, which means it can't be the Earth. So if the rotation is faster at higher elevations, then it can't be Earth rotation that the gyro is picking up.
Well, I don't know. I saw an article saying that the Earth is slowing down according to the brains.
Well, either way, if it's slowing down, but the gyro's speeding up at higher elevations, it's still like,
Well,
well, it's picking up something different.
Hey, I'm gonna have fun with this one. So that can only prove the atmosphere is not stuck to the Earth because it's faster, right?
I'm getting a phone call, so talk amongst yourselves for a second.
Oh, I appreciate it. Now, what a full of bullocks this is. If the Earth spins under the gyro, it's got to spin under everything else.
Yeah, exactly. When used as a globe proof, the gyroscope's essentially demonstrating the Coriolis effect.
Exactly.
If it was demonstrating a deviation of the Earth rotating underneath, then the Earth rotates underneath, as it's asserted by Neil deGrasse Tyson, underneath bullets, but also underneath aeroplanes and helicopters and drones, and you if you jumped up and down, or anything that moves into the inertial reference frame from the non-inertial reference frame that's alleged to rotate underneath, causing the deviation in the gyroscope.
Exactly. Yeah, let's see this proof spread out. Let's not have one serving a dessert taste sweet and the rest be sour. Let them all be the same for the same cause.
I'll do another few shout outs. So, shout out to Isam Halski, who was the first on the dance floor getting that video mirrored. Thank you very much indeed, Issa. I really do appreciate it. And he was followed almost immediately by Mark Sargent, who, I hope I'm not dropping him in it here, contacted me in regards to some of the videos that will inevitably get mirrored on the Quantum Erasers channel, which were at a time when Globebusters had Bob Nodell on Behind the Curve, essentially stating that the apparatus was scientific, which I challenged. And the way it was phrased in his interview with Behind the Curve was to say that if it produces this result, then it proves the Earth spinning. And obviously I challenged that in terms of its A, scientific validity, and B, what we've just discussed in regards to that actually being a claim of Earth-based Coriolis and necessitating things like a 1.5 hour duration when flying from Charlotte, North Carolina to LA. So on the basis that we don't have any demonstrations of Earth-based Coriolis effect, it's only alleged with things like bullets and footballs and a very short hang time by priests of heliocentrism like Neil deGrasse Tyson. Mark got back in touch with me, to bring it back to my point, and said, oh, how come you haven't reconciled things with Bob? And I explained, I don't think there is any reconciliation on account of the fact that I've challenged the scientific validity of something that he's using to demonstrate whichever points he's demonstrating, and that would be this gyroscope, which is wonderful. You know, gyroscopes are a great example of why we are stationary, etc., etc., etc. But the quibble between us, if you want to put it that way, is about the scientific validity thereof. And like I say, some of the videos that are going to go out on Quantum Erasers channel, I know have got that particular part of the flat earth endeavour, shall we call it, but still hashtag same team. If you're listening to this, Bob, my sincerest apologies if the wounds get reopened. I really hope that isn't the case. I hope he realises there is no animosity, at least from my side, towards him. Again, hashtag same team. I know we say it in sarcasm often, but this is something that I've been saying when I've been asking people to mirror the video. So shout out to Mark Sargent. Thank you very much indeed for supporting the Quantum Erasers YouTube channel launch. Also shout out to Adam Meakin / the team at Iron Realm Media. So again, this will be going out approximately the same time as Iron Realm Media. So go and tune into them. Yeah, obviously go and leave this show and go and watch them. No, nevertheless, yeah, they go out on a Friday at 10:30 UK time, PM. So yeah, so check them out, Iron Realm Media. Massive shout out to those guys for also supporting the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel launch. And I know Arwin dropped an ad with the links pasted as a comment pinned to the top of the video so people can find their way easily to his channel. Thank you very much also to Arwin. And I know Sleeping Warrior also did the same. A couple of them have been set to the actual time, which, to be fair, was what I asked for. That was what I was hoping. I know some people would just stick it straight out, which is what I expected to happen and has. So it makes no odds. I'm very grateful to anybody who does it in any way, shape or form. But yes, there's certainly The Iron Realm Media video and Sleeping Warrior video are set to actually schedule at the time that the first premiering stream on Quantum Eraser channel actually goes out, which is 8 p.m. tonight. 2 hours after, or this is now 2 hours after that's happened. But nevertheless, still check it out, go and subscribe. There'll be more to come, obviously, Ballbusters live on Saturday.
Yeah, subscribe to his channel, and I'm coming in as 11th man for you.
11th man?
Yeah, because he likes to joke with me and chocolate. I'm 11th, chocolate's vanilla. So I said, all right, you start your channel, I'll be 11th man for you. So that's my moniker.
But there was actually somebody in I think it was Mark Sargent's comments, or it might have been one of the other people who mirrored that ad. Link below if you want to mirror it. That ad had a guy called 11th Man commenting.
That was me, probably. If you read it, I'll tell you if it was. Yeah, I'm just doing this for fun for John.
I'm looking, but I can't see it now. It was definitely on one of the videos.
Well, it would be a great coincidence if it was someone else. Let's put it that way.
No, I'm pretty sure it wasn't you. It just didn't sound like you.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
Unless you actually are saying you've got an account called 11th Man.
Yeah, I started a new account called 11th Man. Because John
I didn't hear that bit. Sorry.
Back and forth on it.
I missed that bit. Okay, so that is you. It didn't sound like you.
It should be. It should be, yeah.
I see.
I came in at the 11th hour.
You used to get... God, I've got loads of frogs in my throat today. It used to be called Waves by Jeff Stewart, and it originated with Math Powerland. And it described the number of waves that had been between each, group of people joining Flat Earth, if you will.
Yeah.
So, he'd describe himself as a first waver. I don't know what he'd call me, maybe a second waver. Maybe I'm being presumptuous and I'm actually a fifth waver. I don't care. But yeah, he had the various waves of people as they found out about the information.
Well, based on John, he's a tsunami.
Well, John came along after me, not by much, by maybe 6 to 12 months, maybe. So he's been around. I even lose track of how long I've been around this subject. It's either 4 or 5 years, I forget. But, whatever, minus 6 to 12 months, that's how long John's been around. So, in the wave standard of Math Powerland, that would be like third waver. If I'm a second waver, I might be a third waver. He's a fourth waver.
No, I'm just talking about the warrior QE who's going after their lungs. He's coming in as a tsunami wave.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if whatever wave John is, that was a big one.
Hey, that's good. Yeah, it is so. I don't know. Why did they complicate things? If there is Coriolis, then let's see it. And the causes of Coriolis are not biased by nature. They don't perform for one set of objects differently than another. So if the Earth is spinning, one reference frame, and the bullet is the second reference frame, and you experience Coriolis effect there, and you say what else, and they say a football, Foucault pendulum, laser gyro, etc., etc. Well, then it's got to do it for everything else that's free flying.
Yeah, well phrased. That was something that I thought that was pretty elegant by John, because Quantum Eraser, my bad, because he was stressing the Coriolis causes as the most important things to enunciate, as that's what you're really arguing about, not Coriolis effect. Coriolis effect is a real effect, and it's easy to observe. You sit on a roundabout and throw a ball up and down, and it doesn't come back to your hand because you rotate underneath. But from what you see, it looks like it's curving. Well, it isn't. It's just going up and down, and you're rotating underneath. But the effect of it seeming like it curves away from you on the roundabout is Coriolis effect. It's the apparent deviation. It looks like it's curving away from you. It isn't. It just goes up and down. You rotate underneath. So Neil deGrasse Tyson tweets that a ball gets thrown on the football field and the Earth rotates underneath, moving the goalposts, causing the goal to go through, And but for the fact that Coriolis exists, according to Neil deGrasse Tyson, that wouldn't have been a field goal. It'd hit the post. Or there, well, I don't know actually how the game actually panned out. I've never seen that goal, but it doesn't matter. The point being, he's claiming that the ball goes through because the Earth rotates underneath. The non-inertial reference frame being the Earth, the inertial reference frame with the ball travelling through it being the atmosphere. So it travels in a straight line through the atmosphere, if you will, and the Earth rotates underneath, causing the field goal. Well, if that's the case, and as alleged, Earth must have a Coriolis effect if it's spinning, then the Earth rotates underneath a plane. And as the plane takes off from Charlotte, North Carolina and travels towards LA, it would only have a 1.5 hour duration because the Earth's rotating underneath, bringing LA to you as you travel through the air. But that doesn't happen. You don't see the effect of the Earth rotating underneath when you take off with your drone. It just goes up and stays up in the same position. The Earth doesn't rotate underneath it. It would be glaringly obvious if it did. And the only examples that it'll give you from the heliocentric priesthood of all belief and sphere religions in vacuums are things with a very short hand time. So bullets and balls, they'll use those as an example because they've not got a very long hand time. But the hang time of an aeroplane, if you will, is going to be much more pronounced in terms of the effect. Hence, you shorten your duration from Charlotte, North Carolina from about 4 hours to about an hour and a half, if that effect is true. So the causes of Coriolis effect on Earth are having two separate reference frames. And pinning down your opponent on what causes Coriolis effect, i.e. having a non-inertial spinning reference frame, i.e. spinning ball Earth. Hey Anthony, hey, or whoever's making that noise. Earth-shaped investigator, hello.
Sorry, it was me. Somebody was squawking in the background.
Hello,
Finish your point.
Redman and Earth-shaped investigator, you're both off mute if you want to join the conversation. Good to have you both. And hello, Anthony.
Hello, hello, hello.
Sleeping warrior.
Are you going to finish your then?
Hello, Lily.
Hello, hello.
Oh, she says hi. She's wanting me to come over and sit in the chair. I was going to say something, but give me a second to get situated and I'll come back.
So, Nathan, are you finished with your Coriolis statement, or were you about to finish?
You can just be rude with me, 10th man. Just say, are you done? Just say it.
Well, Anthony came in and you were at the verge of saying something, so I wanted you to finish it.
All I was going to round out with was what you said. I was highlighting the main bit which you emphasised anyway, which is that the thing you're actually arguing about is Earth-based Coriolis effect, not Coriolis effect. The causes that would give you Coriolis effect if Earth was spinning. That's the main crux of the argument. To have a Coriolis effect on Earth, you need a non-inertial spinning ball Earth, and something for it to travel through and leave, i.e. you're roundabout with your ball, i.e. you need a plane to leave the non-inertial spinning reference frame, and then get an hour and a half flight time when going to going to LA from North Carolina. So you don't have that because the Earth isn't rotating. But that was, highlighted by you, 10th man, and that's my summary come out twice, which I'm always grateful for.
Great. Let me give you something that I've personally experienced and do. I have property. We have a gun range here. We have sheriffs, Army Rangers, trained people who teach gun safety come and use it. So I'm open to sharing it. We've talked about this with them. What they claim as the bullets, as a Coriolis effect, is nothing more, in my opinion, after studying it and talking to these people, is velocity changing. So the bullet comes out of the chamber once the gunpowder is fired in the from the bullet casing, and it's just coming out hot. But as it travels through the air, it's hitting air, friction, it's losing velocity. So depending on your distance of your shot, if it's a far away shot, you have to put an arc to your sights, because by the time it reaches it, it's going to lose some velocity. Whereas our closer targets, you just aim right at it and boom, it's there. I mean, it happens so fast because they're close. So I started looking online for the bullet Coriolis, stories that the Globers tell us. And everything I see is an arc falling down at the end towards the target, and they have words like gravity written on it, when it's really velocity, not gravity, it's just velocity. Just like the football, if I throw it, initially I've got all the power behind it, but as it's ending its duration in free-flying atmosphere, it's losing momentum, so it's going to fall. So I said, okay, so let me finish up here. So at the equator, 1,040 miles an hour, it's 1,500 plus feet per second the Earth is moving. If you set up a north to south target or a south to north target, opposite of the west to east spin of the Earth. So imagine this in your mind. You're at the equator. Every second, the Earth spins under you 1,500 plus feet. You must aim to the right of your target, 1,500 feet if you're shooting north. And if you're shooting south on a presupposed globe, left of your target by 1,500 plus feet. Then fire away, waiting for the Earth to bring that target to where the bullet's going to meet it. No one does this craziness. Their example of a bullet is stupid.
Yeah, because there isn't an effect. You're absolutely right.
I need to ask a question. And it's a genuine question. I'm not trolling. I'm just genuinely asking. You know when people say, like 10th Man and Nathan both say, you need 2 frames of reference. If the atmosphere goes round with the Earth, then there's no Coriolis. Is that accurate? If the atmosphere goes round with the Earth, there is no Coriolis.
That's correct.
Because I thought the Coriolis effect was caused by the rotating curved Earth that we're on, rather than the frame of reference that the sky's in, regardless of whether it moves round with it or not.
To have a Coriolis effect on a roundabout, so let's just remove it to the effect itself. You throw the ball up and down, and you rotate underneath. Now, in essence, the ball does not return to your hand. It just goes up and down. But because you rotate underneath, it looks like the ball curves away from you. But it isn't actually curving away from you. It's just going up and down, and you're rotating underneath. So
I agree, but wouldn't it do that regardless?
Hold on. So if you then put a dome over the roundabout and have the atmosphere of the roundabout moving with the roundabout as it turns, so it's sealed completely and the atmosphere is actually being dragged along. Now, ignoring the fact that that completely pisses in the face of gas law, we'll just do it for the example. So hypothetically, in a scenario, while you can't have gases dragged along, they're moving freely, but we'll do it anyway and say that the ball does return back to your hand because it's a single reference frame and it defies gas law, then what you're doing is actually having no deflection. You're not seeing it appear to deviate away from you if it comes back to your hand because the atmosphere is coming along with you. In other words, if you're on the roundabout, you throw the ball up and down and it does come back to your hand, you're no longer witnessing any apparent deviation, are you? It's just coming back to your hand. So if you've only got hold on. If you've only got one reference frame, you're not going to witness an apparent deviation as it moves from one reference frame to the other.
I see your point, and I agree that is the argument, right? What I'm asking is, the atmosphere is not a friction material. It's a resistive material, but it can't grab things and move things along with it. Maybe a millimetre or so above the surface of the Earth, maybe, but there isn't any ability for the atmosphere to be friction, because it's not a friction material. If it was, clutches wouldn't wear out on cars and stop your car from moving when there's no friction material left on it. The atmosphere is not a friction material. So even if the atmosphere was spinning around with the Earth or not, the ball would still follow a curved path by virtue of the fact that the Earth's turning underneath it, regardless of whether the atmosphere moves with it or not. So what I'm asking is the atmosphere in the second frame of reference actually an unintentional red herring? And the actual cause that we need to focus on is the tangential speed, the movement of the Earth below us causing that curved path trajectory, regardless of the atmosphere at all.
That is what we're focusing on. In order to have a Coriolis effect, you need a non-inertial spinning reference frame, i.e. the spinning ball Earth needs to be a spinning ball Earth to have this effect.
Yeah, I agree. But what I'm asking is, I think that the atmosphere, whether it moves with the Earth or not, might be a red herring deliberately to obfuscate the point, because I don't think it's necessary whether it's a single frame or a moving frame or a static frame, because what causes Coriolis is the movement of the Earth, correct?
Actually,
No. The cause of the Coriolis is moving from a rotating non-inertial reference frame into an inertial reference frame. That's what causes Coriolis. That is the Coriolis causes. And if you translate those causes to an Earth that is alleged to spin, then you need a spinning Earth to have that effect of the whatever projectile, bullet, ball, helicopter, plane, anything moving from a non-inertial spinning reference frame into, i.e. not including it but separate from it, into an inertial reference frame. That's what gives you the effect from one to the other. You definitely need both for it to move from one to the other.
Anthony, when you look up in the sky today and you see different layers of clouds moving in different directions, and at night the stars and the moon moving, and during the day the sun moving, what do you say to yourself?
It's a balancing mix of dynamic nature, Mother Nature in play. We're seeing the dynamic nature of Mother Nature.
Yeah, that's one way, I guess. But what do you say to yourself? Do you say to yourself, the Earth is not moving and they're the things that are moving? Or do you say to yourself, the Earth is moving and they're moving?
I get your point. All right, let me rephrase my question. If there was no atmosphere whatsoever, the bullet or the ball or the projectile would still follow a curved path if the Earth was moving underneath it, right? Or it would appear to follow a curved path.
You'd have no resisting effect of the atmosphere slowing it down or anything of that nature. But yes, you're correct. As long as it leaves the spinning reference frame, when you're holding the gun, it's attached to that frame of reference and turning with the gun because you're holding it. As soon as the bullet leaves the chamber, it's no longer attached to the rotating non-inertial reference frame.
I agree. What seems to be an obfuscation point is whether the atmosphere is rotating with the Earth or not. I don't think it matters.
It can't. Well,
you're right.
Whether or not it matters, it's a defiance of gas law. Gas isn't attached to anything. It's completely separate, moving freely, randomly, independently of each other. The fact of its being gas means it has no bonds with anything. That's the point. That's what it is in that phase.
Yeah, I agree. But what I'm asking is it an unintentional obfuscation or is it a valid point?
It's moronic globeheads.
It's not a valid point, Anthony, because you just look up and see that the air and the clouds are moving in different directions. And gas doesn't bond, as Nathan just said. And you say, are you crazy or what?
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon, and crypto link in the info box below the video. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate Forum, which you should definitely all join. If you'd like to join this discussion right here, right now, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you are new to the channel or you've not done so already, how dare you? Then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now, as you can probably tell from the title of this show, it's about the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel launch. So the new home, the only real home, the true home, if you will, of Ballbusters is now the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel. There is a link below this video for the live audience, so you can go and subscribe and check out his first video, which will air tonight at 2 p.m. if you are in Central Standard Time, and 8 p.m. UK or BST, British Summer Time. So check it out, be here or be sphere. Massive shout out to Issa, Mark, Sleeping Warrior, who's on the panel. I'll introduce him in a moment, along with Arwin and who else didn't I mention? Iron Realm Media. Thank you very much to all of you guys and anybody else who has mirrored that video. If you haven't done so already, check it out on Quantum Eraser's channel. Just make sure to put a link and pin it in the comments for the premiering stream, which will go out at 8 p.m. tonight, or if you're watching this in the aftermath, just do the same for that video that's obviously ready to be watched by anybody who watches the ad. So, as I say, a massive thank you to everybody who has supported the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel launch. Really, really do appreciate it. With that, I'm going to say a hello, first and foremost, to everybody in the Google Plus Hangouts bit. How you doing? We've got the one, Sleeping Warrior, Paul, Flatsoid, Arwin, and 10th Man. Very good to have you all.
Hello, hello, hello.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Good afternoon. Hello.
Back from vacation.
Welcome back.
Hi, guys.
Been jumping out of any planes, the one?
Not recently.
Fair
No money.
enough. Sure, you've missed out on the outrage that would have had you spitting feathers if you'd have heard it. It was a continuation of a conversation you joined in on about, what, 10 days ago now?
Yeah, something like that.
It's not stopped, I'm afraid, the one. There we go.
I've
Such is
been
life.
listening all along.
Oh, have you? Oh, God. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I never miss it.
Well, that's good to hear. Thank you for your support. We're
Subscribe
also
to
joined.
Huey now.
We're also joined by a few people on Discord. So hello to Earth-Shaped Investigator, FE Batman, and Redman. Is it good to have you all? Yeah, hello Nathan. Good to be here. I watch as well. Oh, yeah, I never miss it. Good. Thanks Discord. Really, really good. Always good to have you. Oh, a parcel's arrived.
Was always letting us down.
Oh, my amplifier's arrived. Repaired, hopefully.
Hi Nathan, how you
Hello.
going? Hope everything's okay there.
I'm very excited. It's a good day. I've just had a parcel with a very, very large piece of equipment inside. Hopefully a mended amplifier. Boring. Let's move on. Who wants to do housekeeping?
Any signs of Earth curvature?
No measurable Earth curvature anywhere. If there was, I would be on their side of the fence.
Yeah, nothing here.
Globeheads should get their eyes checked.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Scientific evidence of what?
No.
Is that the non-force causing bending of space-time mass?
No,
It's,
they don't have a cause. They just keep talking around it.
They don't have
Seems to
an
be the
effect
more we
or
talk about it, the more real it becomes.
It's just I was listening today to Anthony and the Rumpus in the bus going back to my home, to the town that I live in, and based on what the Rumpus says gravity is, it's something like mass bending time to create a concept of a force that causes cause. That's according to the Rumpus.
Time is a concept.
Yeah, it can't cause anything. Anyone that thinks time's an independent variable in a scientific experiment's got a big problem.
Come on, Rumpus has superpowers.
We discussed it just before the show went live, but any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety, Coriolis or otherwise?
No, actually.
9. Nope.
Nope. I will make a quick comment. I've been playing a video on my screen. I dropped it in the Google Hangout chat, but it actually does a good job talking about different frames of reference. The videos from the 1960s. He does get into the pendulum issue, but I think there's a problem. Even if you use what they're talking about, there's a problem with it. But I was gonna tell you, Anthony, this he's using a table that has very little friction on it. If you can see the pic or the shot I'm showing.
Can you make it full screen? Can you make it full screen, please, Paul?
Yeah. Hang on a second. I won't play it because I don't know if there's any copyright with it or not. It's back from the 60s. I doubt it, so they may not be able to hit you. But of course, Lily's deciding to talk in the background. But this table has very little friction on it, but it's still in contact with this puck with this ball on it is in contact with it, and he actually pushes the table, or the whole, him and that other guy are spinning, and he pushes that puck with that on it, and literally you can watch it come back to that same guy. But there's friction still, even though it's very minimal on the table and also the air, but you can still see this Coriolis effect occurring. Kind of interesting. So if you guys are interested,
that's cool. So he gets round to the opposing view, the opposing place, in the time it takes for the ball to get to the opposing side.
Right. He times it perfectly, so he could just barely push it, and literally it looks like it makes a loop and comes back to him.
That's
But
excellent.
yeah, and then he actually shows it, and he shows a different reference frame, and it shows that the puck is actually taking a straight line. It's really good. This video is really good.
So are you actually going to show it, or?
Just in case there's a copyright issue, I don't want it to Nathan get hit with it.
Are you serious?
It's for educational uses, though. I'm sure Nathan.
And it's ancient.
Well, what do you want to do, Nathan? You mean go ahead and show it, or what?
But just don't play any more than like 5 seconds of it.
I'm sorry, Lily was talking over that. What?
Play it, but just don't play any more than, say, 5 seconds approximately, there or thereabouts.
So you said about 5 seconds. You said.
Yeah,
Yes.
just play 5 seconds.
Okay, let me find the shot where it really works, where it shows it here.
I love that he spins around and gets 180 degrees in the time it takes for the thing to get there. We'll call it a ball. I know it's not a ball, but we'll call it a ball.
No possible way this is going to get a copyright strike. No
No,
way.
I agree.
Well, that's what I thought. So he's pushing it. Well, of course, to watch it, it's making a loop
that's
and coming
well
back to him.
That looks weird.
My internet's sucking right now, so sorry. It's streaming.
No,
but
that's no bad thing. It's
you get
breaking
the
it
idea.
up. You're
And the
modifying
irony
it.
that Paul sells internet for a living. I love it.
Well, I don't sell. I can't get my own internet. That's the crazy thing. I can't get my own internet here, so it's funny. But
He's an internet dealer. He doesn't use his own product.
Well, I
But
do
that's
want to
cool.
give a shout out. I want to give a rare shout out to a ball earther. His name's MC Toon, and he had a conversation with Joey Sylvie, or Sylvie, I think you pronounce it. And Joey lost his temper, and he ended up getting kicked. But it was because Joey was bringing up a legitimate counter
Sorry
that
to
was just
interrupt,
being ignored.
Anthony, can you just back off your mic just a little bit, please?
Is that any better?
Miles better, yes, thank you.
So MC Toon had a hangout with Joey Sylvie, and they were talking about whether or not the Earth's turning. What MC Toon decided to do was cite the Michelson Morley, the Michelson Gale, the Aries failure. He decided to cite them as ball Earth proofs. Now he claims that the flat earthers have misrepresented the conclusions of these experiments. And he gives his reasons for why. He then claims that these prove that the Earth is turning by inference. Joey responded by saying, you can't prove that the Earth's turning unless you prove that the Earth is turning. What these experiments are demonstrating, or these measurements are demonstrating, is that something's turning, but you're not showing what's turning. And MC Toon wouldn't listen to him and started getting irate and annoyed. So it's really easy to criticize Joey Sylvie for losing his temper. But you need to be aware that MC Toon's not listening to his counter at the same time. So you've got a standoff between the two of them, and Joey ends up getting kicked. But Joey's point is legitimate. If the Earth is turning, the thing that the standard of proof that's required is to prove that the rim of the Earth is turning, the rim velocity, the tangential speed. If you can't prove that the rim velocity is turning, then you can't prove that Earth is turning. And MC Toon wouldn't realize that that is a legitimate, valid counter to his claims that the experiments cited were being misrepresented by the flat earthers. Because at the end of the day, Earth turning is the standard, not measuring interference of light patterns through an interferometer, where it becomes really ambiguous and it can be argued both ways, which is what he was doing. And it can be argued both ways. But by virtue of it being argued both ways means that it's failing to prove the point that it's supposed to be proving. Otherwise, there wouldn't be the argument. And obviously, that's why you've got to prove that the tangential speed, the rim velocity, the Earth turning is the standard that we're expecting. You need to prove that. And of course, if that evidence even existed, we would all be aware of it. It doesn't exist, or certainly not, at least not in the public domain anyway. So what they should be showing is interferometers showing different at different latitudes, the different tangential speeds in accordance with the size of the Earth that they were told we live on. But that's not what's being demonstrated. They're still using starlight and claiming interference patterns prove Earth's turn. And it's like, no, that's not what the standard is. The standard is to prove that the Earth is actually turning. So Joey got kicked wrongly, in my opinion. Joey's counter was legit. But you should check it out if you want to listen to how not to have a good conversation where you just prematurely kick somebody. And to be fair, Joey did lose his temper. He did overspeak unnecessarily. However, he did have a valid point. Check out MC Toon's channel. It's a really good example of a bad hangout.
Really? We need examples for that?
Well, it's the first hangout I've heard in ages where they've actually been talking solely about Earth turn.
Okay.
Well, here's something. If you watch that whole video, because he talks about inertia and non-inertial reference frames, if there's a constant speed and velocity and all of that stuff, this video is really good when he gets into that. They always say the plane has this ability to adjust to all this stuff. Well, that actually creates more problems for him if you watch this video, because if you change the speed of one reference frame, if it's not consistent with the other one or the two things in motion, it throws it all out of whack. So that's another problem that the plane, well, they adjust for it, but that creates a worse problem for you, folks. So.
First, oh my gosh. Listen, this is so simple. Just a few minutes ago, at the equator, 1,040 miles per hour. It's supposed to be turning. Take your bullet example and set a target north-south or south-north, aim 1,500 feet right or left, and fire. That'll prove if it's turning.
Well, it won't really prove that the Earth's turning. Proving that the Earth's turning is by proving that the Earth is turning. What you would then be doing is testing to see whether it's consistent with the effect of a trajectory of a bullet. But what the ballers need to demonstrate is that there are measurements of tangential speed at different latitudes as you go from the equator.
Anthony, word salad. They are the ones who say the bullet is in the second reference frame and it proves the Earth is turning. They're the one. I'm taking their own argument and having them shoot themselves in the foot with it.
Sure, but you're not testing Earth's turn.
They can't say tangential speed. They're the ones saying the bullet here and where you are is in the second reference frame and thus proves Coriolis. I said, great, let's go to the equator and do it there. You got to aim this far right because the Earth is turning, right? Because you already told me the bullet's in the second reference frame. So aim right, 1,500 feet, and fire away. You're shooting south to north. He'll never do it.
Yeah. You're right. You are right, but you're not.
No, there is
let me just, 10th man, you're absolutely correct, but Anthony's point is slightly different. He's saying that the original assertion, the positive claim in that regard, is akin to saying, well, you've got to have the causes. Well, the causes of Coriolis effect are a spinning non-inertial reference frame. In other words, Anthony's saying, well, first you've got to prove the Earth turns. That's his point.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm saying that they are trying to tell us through all these other misdirection ways where you can't put your fingerprints on it and hold them to you know what, but you take what they've already said, which is their Achilles heel, the football going through the goalpost, the Foucault pendulum, the laser gyro, the bullet, the heavy stuff dropped from buildings ends up to the right a little bit. You take what they're already saying is proof of the Earth turning, and you test it at the equator with that firing shot, and they won't even show up for that event if you paid first-class tickets for them to do it and brought the best marksman.
I agree.
Okay, so end the story. I'm not going there with these people. I'm not going to argue in the fallacy.
Well, you are arguing in the fallacy by going to the equator doing it. What I'm saying is
I'm telling them, you're saying,
sorry,
you're telling me that you've got to account for that when you shoot a bullet.
Yeah, but by going to the equator, you are arguing within the fallacy.
No, I'm not. I am telling them that their so-called hemisphere has an equator. I don't believe they have an equator. I am showing how that doesn't work at 1,040, and it doesn't work at 860. It doesn't work at all. There's no equator. There's no hemisphere. There's no bullet. They're just lying. It's so obvious.
Is that
Actually,
a
the
brief?
video,
Oh, go on.
this section of the video, this section of the video talks about what 10th Man's talking about, because the skid that the camera's on is moving, but it's accelerating, and as it accelerates, the ball moves kind of back. It looks like it's moving back towards the back of the skid, and it's because of the speed is changing. It gets into this video is really good. It talks about everything we're talking about.
Trying to post it somewhere that I can stick it in the chat.
I think I put it in the chat already, but I can do it either. Well, maybe I didn't. I'll drop it into Master B.
Perfect.
I'll drop it in there.
So it's called Frames of Reference 1960 in brackets. The video producer, I don't think it's him who's actually the videographer for this video, is Trev M. And hopefully before the end of the live stream, I'll get a copy of that link for people to check it out. Is this a brief interlude? Because I'm going to do another plug for the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel, which I'm going to take it as being a little lull in the conversation. So I'm going to play the ad. Why not? Why have we got no sound? Damn you, YouTube. No sound. Volume up full. Weird. Oh, that thing's up. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I've just stuck a link in the chat for the live feed, so go and subscribe today to the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel. His first broadcast will be at 8 PM this evening for the live audience. Sorry,
Shout out to Tui. I subscribed 2 days ago.
Cool.
I'd like to place my order for curry chicken right now with that music.
Say that again. You placed an order for chicken?
Yeah, curry chicken. That music makes me want Indian food.
An excellent advert. Whoever produced it's a genius.
Did you produce that advert, Nathan?
I did, yeah. I'm just messing around. It's
Yeah, I was wondering who that is.
It's had mixed reviews. Let's put it that way. Will I throw him under the? No, I won't throw anybody under the bus. It's not very fair.
Have you all checked out my latest upload about the rumpus?
I have. It was very good.
If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's only about 40 seconds long. Listening to the rumpus.
Anthony, just to let you know, the music was great, actually. Liked it very much.
Yeah, I enjoyed the music. But that's not the video I'm referring to. I'm referring to the 40-second one that was uploaded about maybe an hour or two ago. When Rumpus talks about gravity and science and the meaning of the word "and," everybody hears the words that spew out of his mouth. But for me, I don't hear what everybody else hears. I hear something completely different. And if you want to know what I hear when I hear Rumpus talking of these things that he professes to be like an expert on, you'll have to go and check the video. But don't be eating any food when you watch it.
Anthony, I thought the video was referencing gas pressure at first.
Yeah, gas pressure without a container, right?
Is my microphone working? Okay, 1 2 1 2.
Yes, it is. Good to have you, Spurs. Just give me a couple of seconds, though, if you don't mind.
and so it doesn't work. Relative density is not a vector, density is not a force, and therefore can't cause any, it can't support anything, can't do anything. It's just a scalar, and so it can't be the cause of any of the effects that James and his fellow flatties think it can.
Oh my god.
Very good.
You do realise that wasn't being presented, right?
That was being
I think,
presented.
no?
Oh,
Yeah, it was.
did it go out to the live audience?
Yeah.
I think so.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Sorry, it just didn't come through in the Hangout, that's all.
Oh, didn't it?
No, it did.
not in the
I
Hangout.
heard it.
I think it did.
Well, we heard it, but we didn't see it. That's okay. As long as it went out to the audience, that's fine.
Oh, yeah. Seeing it's very low priority for me to share it with you six. No offense.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, Rumpus does talk that much. It's just verbal diarrhea. He just doesn't know what the meaning of the word "and" is. And I'm like, we all learned that when we were like 4. We know what "and" means. If it's like 1 and 2, that means you get. Like, imagine going into the chip shop and asking for a portion of fish and chips, and then the woman says, "Do you want salt and vinegar on that?" And you say, "Yes, please." And you come back and you've just got vinegar. And you say, "I asked for salt and vinegar." "Yeah, I've given you vinegar." "Yeah, but I asked for salt and vinegar." "Yeah, I know, but I've just given you vinegar." "Yeah, but salt and vinegar." "Yeah, but I use "or" instead, so I've just given you vinegar." I mean, that's what literally his position has been recently. Because
that's almost perfect. I'm just going to refine that example, and I hope you will take on my refinement. So you go into the fish and chip shop, and you ask for fish and chips, and she says, "That'll be £5, please." I'm in 1980s pricing here. Anyway, she takes your £5, bearing in mind that chips cost £1 and fish costs £4, and she gives you no change from your £5 note. You get home, open up your fish and chips, and find there's only chips. And you go back and moan, and she says, "Yeah, and doesn't mean and."
And of course, the reason why the Rumpus has to do this is because the definition of science requires both observation and experiment. And we all know that a lot of the rhetoric that comes out of Rumpus's mouth lacks the experimental application and the experimental results. But he has to be claiming science, because otherwise he's claiming pseudoscience, and Rumpus doesn't want to be claiming pseudoscience. Rumpus wants to be seen as a scientist. And he therefore has to argue that observation and experiment actually means observation or experiment. And we're like, no, Rumpus, you're a pseudoscientist. You speak shit. And that is what he's doing. He's lying to people, and people are too dumb to realize, because he presents himself in a very affable, polite, friendly kind of way, usually.
Well, he's getting some opposition from some of the ball earthers, I think. They're not too happy with the way Rumpus is arguing his case. Now, can you see my screen, Nathan?
I've got to admit, he is my favourite baller.
Yeah, we can now.
You're presenting my screen. Okay, so Paul, we know Paul Voigt, our other favourite teacher.
Yeah.
So he says, so he was watching, when we were on Ranties the other day. And he says, why is Rumpus so hell-bent on insisting that gravity is a force? It really doesn't matter whether gravity is Newtonian force or an Einstein bending of space-time. They both result in the atmosphere having weight, which is a prime cause of atmospheric pressure. Oh, and by the way, in physics, a much more useful definition of pressure is that it is momentum flux across a unit area from one side. No mention of a container here at all. So Paul's supporting, I think, if I'm not misconstruing what's being said here, that we don't need a container here. We don't need a force.
Spurs, let me respond. What I see Paul doing there is conflating the use of Einsteinian and Newtonian principles for gravity, but you can't conflate them both, because one's a force, the other one's an effect. But you can't have them both being interchangeable, because they're not. One's, as Nathan keeps rightfully pointing out, do you want to say it, Nathan? Is it Euclidean 3 space compared to pseudo Romanian, whatever it is?
Yeah, you've got it. Force space.
So you can't interchangeably use these words, but what Paul's trying to do is pollute the mind of people reading that to think that they're the same thing. They're fundamentally different. Einstein's action acted at a distance, Einstein's action was limited by the speed of light, whereas Newton's action acted at a distance. And they're not comparable, but Paul's trying to use them interchangeably. And he's just showing that they're knackered, because the reason why Rumpus is so hell-bent on insisting that gravity is a force is because if gravity is not a force, then Cavendish doesn't prove anything. That's why Rumpus is insistent on keeping gravity as a force, Paul.
Mm-hmm. So if Paul's suggesting then, he would say, okay, Anthony, it's not a force. We agree it's not a force. Hold on, where does Paul go from there then? What's his argument with you if he disagrees with Rumpus saying it's not a force? Stop saying it's a force, Rumpus. It's not a force. We've been told it's not a force. Physics says it's not a force. Where does Paul go from there?
Well, then, where I go from there is, well, what does the Cavendish experiment do for this argument then? And then the only answer is it doesn't do anything. It means that Cavendish must have been demonstrating some other external force that he wasn't able to control, and it's actually should be called the Cavendish failure, because he failed to control the variables that were influencing the perception that mass attracts mass. Well, Einstein says mass doesn't attract mass. So then Cavendish doesn't prove anything.
Yeah, I think he's doubling that. He's saying that they both result. So the result
They don't. They both result in the atmosphere having weight. They don't, because for it to have weight is a force. Only Newton's gravity has a force and gives the atmosphere weight. Einstein's doesn't give the atmosphere weight. Paul's wrong.
Interesting. I thought you'd find this interesting. That's why I brought it forward, actually.
But I
also like this part here. If you want to just go over this, this no mention of a container at all. What does Paul mean by this?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
You'd have to ask Paul.
What was the question, Spurs?
So what do you think Paul means by this here? In physics, a much more useful definition of pressure, so he's trying to help you with this understanding here, is that momentum flux across a unit area from one side. I'm not sure if that's complete, but...
Yeah, unit area. Yeah, surface to press upon.
Yeah, but momentum flux is the word. Where's that phrase come from? Can I have a citation for that phrase?
Unit area. Where'd you get unit area from in your sky? What's the unit area the pressure in our atmosphere is pressing on, given that Paul Voigt believes the sky is a vacuum? So explain to me where the unit area measurement comes from in the sky. Fucktard.
Before you do that, Paul Voigt, let's see what evidence you've got for the molten iron core, because that's been outstanding.
Oh yeah,
for 18 years?
you bastard! I was going to do it. yeah. I was going to lead it by saying, any evidence of a molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth? Paul Voigt.
Nope. Yeah, we were talking about this the other day and how housekeeping is generated organically in debates from people that have made silly statements, and obviously the molten iron core one has come from Paul Voigt. So on the one hand, he's criticising Rumpus for it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether or not gravity is a force. Well, it does, because the thing against you is the molten iron core. In the same way that gas pressure is against conspiracy cats, which he made his mistake the other day. And yeah, sure, we all make mistakes. I'm sure he'll get around to presenting an apology or whatever. But the point is, housekeeping's come from these morons making all these claims, and that's the thing against Paul Voigt. So what's really happening is ballers can't even give a consistent definition for gravity. They can't prove tangential speed. Paul Voigt's one of the protagonists. He's got that pinned against him. He can't join the Hangouts ever again. I'm amazed that Rumpus has got the bold face and the cheek to join, because he's got numerous things against him, Isle of Man related topics aside. He comes on brashly and presents his face anyway. George Netanyahu can't demonstrate Coriolis. He doesn't even know how to explain it. What are the other fallacies that these morons have got? There's quite a few of them knocking around, but the housekeeping points have been brought up on the back of and directly as a result of.
Right. I mean, you contribute the R value to any of them. You know, every single claim to be sphere Earth proof starts with the presupposition of that R value with every single instance. So you could attribute R value to all of them. I like to pin it to Red's rhetoric, even though he's never even been on. And that's the reason why. That's the immediate response he'd get if he came on this show ever, which he won't, because that would be the first question he got asked. Any evidence of the R value used in every single one of your mathematical equations you use to so-called prove the sphere? Because it's a presupposition.
I remember my first ever hangout that I ever joined, and it's really difficult to get into a hangout the first time you get it because you don't understand how the infrastructure works. I know it's just clicking a link, but it's not that easy. But back in the day when I joined, and my first ever hangout was with Res Rhetoric, right? And I went in there as a newbie flat earther. I'd learned some of the basic arguments, and I'd gone in there with Res Rhetoric. And it was like standing in a grave and looking up at the undertakers that have just dug the grave for you. And I'm looking up and there's all these people peeping down and they're like, who the fuck's this? And I'm looking up, seeing all these people that are like silent because they don't know who I am. And I've gone in there and basically I've had the conversation with them and whatever. And basically Red's made some mistakes in that hangout, particularly to do with like pressurization cycles, to do with the fuselage of a plane and that being the limiting factor for how long the lifespan of the plane is. And that was just one thing. Metal fatigue as a function of heat cycles. Metal gets fragile over time and eventually it'll crack, even if it's operating within its normal operating temperature because of atomic structural changes in the metal itself. So Red's made a few mistakes in that particular hangout, and he doesn't present it on his channel. And I've asked him to release it so I can like basically bask in the glory, because there were some moments that I got battered, but there were some moments that he got battered as well. And he won't release it. And looking back in hindsight now, it's like, I wonder why he won't release that. Shout out to Red's Rhetoric.
He has a habit of pulling down videos when he's made to look really stupid. I'll never forget Ranty getting in touch with me going, look what I've got, and then playing this clip of I think it was Sean Hufford and Red's Rhetoric saying about curvature, because they've taken the barrel distortion of a picture of the horizon and squashed it, and Jaron got hold of it and absolutely went wild with it. You're like, oh, this is priceless. These idiots. What a perfect example. That's why he takes them down. So things like that don't have what happened because Ranty's smart enough to grab it while it was going out.
Yeah, I believe there's an up-and-coming hangout with Sly Sparkane and Mike Kavanagh from FE Core. I didn't know what the background to this was. I had to actually ask Mike what was going on. And then basically they've been shouting off the miles again with baseless assertions without any evidence, based on pure ignorance. And Mike's agreed to do a hangout where he presents the evidence that proves that they're all dirty, rotten liars. So check out that on Sly's channel. It's coming up in the next couple of day or two. Might even be today, actually. I'm not sure, but check it out. It's going to be an interesting one to see how they wriggle out of their baseless assertions based on their own ignorance rather than the facts of the real world.
Shout out to, is it B Rain? It's actually easier to see on my iPad on the live stream. B Rain and Bino. Good to have you both. I've taken you off mute. My apologies for not introducing you sooner.
Somebody should have retracted the shout out to Red's Rhetoric as well. Shame on you all.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Can I do my bit very quickly? I haven't done it in a long time. I decided to call it the house conclusion because we have housekeeping. So let's all not forget that blockheads are getting really desperate about Flat Earth beating them on all fronts, and their overlords are getting very desperate. And we are seeing this. So we keep our eye on you, Globies.
Right. Well, we can be expecting more severe psychological warfare. So if you got nothing, that's the only way to go.
Shout out to Unicorn Laser Eyes, who says, thanks for the most triggering show title ever. Shout out to Quantum Eraser. Indeed. Subscribe today. There's a link in the info box. Ads are going out aplenty from all the people who've mirrored and supported the YouTube channel launch of the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel. So shout out again to Issa Mahalski, Mark Sargent. Shout out to Iron Realm Media, the team of those guys, Adam Meakin. I think was the one who actually mirrored it, but yes, thank you very much to all of you at Iron Realm Media. Big shout out to you on your show tonight at 10 p.m. or 10:30 p.m. UK time. Also, big shout out to Arwin and Sleeping Warrior, I think. Yeah, Sleeping Warrior got one out as well. So there's quite a few people. Hopefully a few others are scheduled to actually come out at the time that the first broadcast goes out on Quantum Eraser channel. So that's set to go out at 8 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. Central on the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel. So subscribe today. As I say, there are quite a few ads out there to point you in the right direction. So thank you very much to all who supported the launch, and thank you very much to all of you in the live chat right now who've just immediately gone and subscribed. I've been keeping an eye on the numbers, and there's obviously people from this feed going and subscribing. So my love goes out to you. Thank you very much indeed for the support.
You know, you should wake up John and say, John, I've been doing all this advertising for you, and you should be here while I'm doing this to help me do this. You should wake him up, give him a Skype call.
What time is it by him now?
I'm not sure where he's at. Is he on the West Coast or
Central
Central
time. I think he's in Central time. I'm pretty sure.
It's 8:30. So go ahead, give him a call.
Nah, you're all right. I'd rather have a good-mooded John. Good-mooded? I don't know if that's the right words, but I'd rather have John in a good mood. Quantum Eraser being John.
Better than Grumpy Eraser.
So, the one, I just want to kind of talk about what you were mentioning. So, I mean, the psychology of flat Earth. What if people don't want to be flat earthers because of what the globe system offers? So it's almost like people are being paid to lie or to be decided. Not literally being paid to lie. I just mean that you get offered in this globalist system, a job, a fantastic job. If you're a flat earther, you're very unlikely to have a fantastic job, right? And the best car, the best house.
Excuse me. I have.
No, hold on. I'm not saying the ones and twos. Yes, you will have some, but I'm saying overall a system here where you have a whole building of flat earthers in a business. Okay, say you have a tall and Empire State Building, and half of them are flat earthers. The boss is a flat earther. So what I'm saying is that the system offers people the choice. If you're a flat earther, you will lead this lifestyle. If you want, this lifestyle of, Lamborghinis and big houses and to be known and famous, you will live
and virtual signal all
the
day.
global lifestyle. So, you can see that they make it very difficult for anyone to be successful. Like, unless you're Mr. Flat Earther, I'm talking about in the system world. So if you want to run a business, or if you want to work in the sector outside of Flat Earth, they make it very hard for you to discuss Flat Earth as a thing or believe it as a thing. And we've seen that. We've seen
a couple of questions.
Why would you need to discuss Flat Earth everywhere you go?
We've seen engineers.
Go ahead, Spurs.
Yeah, so we've seen like engineers and surveyors who, for me, clearly know the Earth is flat. But to bring this up at work, the colleagues may disagree. So I think, like I say, it's very difficult. It's kind of, the question is, why would people want if the system offers them, a global lifestyle?
Because it's the truth.
If I have to respond to that, I think soon it will be the other way around. I think the numbers will change, and I think that it's millions now all around the world knowing the Earth is flat, and that just keeps on growing and growing. So at one point.
Any more? Any more? Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Spurs. Number one, life is what you make it.
Yeah.
Number two, a realization of the obvious and observable nature of our reality, i.e., the Earth is obviously and observably flat, has absolutely no bearing whatsoever on my chosen career path or what I make of my life. Number three, who are they?
You finished? Yeah, okay. So again, I'm not talking about the current person I'm talking about someone who has studied physics, science. They've studied a particular field, and now they realize the Earth is flat. So now the question is, would they give all that up? Any young person now can obviously be aware of the flat Earth and continue in their career. But I'm talking about those who have already studied, whatever they've studied, their professions. And then now they've realized, okay, the Earth is flat. Can I discuss this at work? Can I make
I see you're kind of asking a
No, that
political
doesn't
question.
work
Hold
like
on,
that
Owen.
at all.
Hold on. Are you kind of asking a political question in the same way as if, for the sake of argument, you had a doctor that found that a specific treatment that they had been applying happily and recommending turned out to be more damaging than was reported, or something along those lines? Suddenly they're in an ethical dilemma because the system, as you're phrasing it, would want them to continue to promote that treatment. Well, what you're asking is an ethical question in a political frame, because in terms of whether or not a school teacher who's teaching the heliocentric model would break his, I don't know what code he has to adhere to in terms of sticking to the curriculum that's laid out for him to teach, but ultimately speaking, yes, you're then saying, well, would that person continue to teach it? If the phraseology is such that it's essentially him having to lie, well, that's an ethical question again. But you're phrasing it in a political manner. That's why I asked, who are they? If the
you're right.
they is the...
You're quite right. That's what I'm saying. So these people, it will be ethical. This is what I'm saying. So this is what they're testing people's ethics, right? And they're saying, are you willing to lie for this globe system? And what we're seeing is that people are willing to at least withdraw or withhold their input in this. And then what we find is that when the system ridicules this, they just think, well, you know what, I'm not even going to bother coming out as a flat earther.
Okay, I've got to add something here.
I'll just let the current flat earthers do what they're doing, and I'll just carry on living this globular.
Or react as you've been programmed, which is to brace against it. But if you want to see this moral dilemma play out in an interview format, for example, go and subscribe to a channel called Haunted House and listen to the confessions of a school teacher and his moral dilemma in this regards and how it causes him sleepless nights. That particular teacher goes by the name of Conspiracy Cats on YouTube. Just to give him a few choice quotes, he says things like, without the container, there can be no pressure. That would be directed at Paul Voigt. Maybe you'd like to take up your over a unit area with Conspiracy Cats, who makes it very clear in this very quote. Without the container there can be no pressure, end quote. Conspiracy Cats 2019. Or in an example drawn on a whiteboard by the same individual who has these sleepless nights when he has to contemplate whether or not it's all lies and they've been deceiving him from on high. Yeah, you can see all of that on Haunted House's channel. Without me going on about it too much, which I could go on about it forever. Have you watched it, Anthony? No, I've been busy.
Sorry, I was too busy this morning banning Conspiracy Cat socks from my chat.
Okay. Anthony's
So
vanished.
that moral dilemma he had, I think we all know which direction he chose from his behavior that's been following ever since.
Nathan, has Haunted House changed his channel name? I can't actually find his channel. Oh no, I've got it.
Okay.
Quick question to all of the panel. Do you think, guys, Nathan's show and all the discussions had any influence about that topic that came out in the news about gravity?
It's 100 years old. Come on. We've been talking about this for the last, year minimum on this show? And, now it comes out headline news. I'm elated. Great. The public gets to realise gravity is a load of old bollocks. It's the bending of a conceptual medium. That's the current rhetoric. The old rhetoric of mass attracting mass based on Reverend John Mitchell and Cavendish's claim to be experiment, non-experiment. That's all 100 years old. But yeah, we've seen it in the news. Anthony was he was all over it like flies on shit when it first came out, and he had it even on this show. So kudos, Anthony, in that regard. But yeah, we have seen it. Feel free to discuss it at length.
No, I know we've all seen it, but do you think there is any influence from our side that this came out now?
As I say, we're talking about it all the time, aren't we? No, it supersedes. Say it nice and long and elongated, Anthony.
I was just reading the transcript from that.
Superseded.
Superseded. One pseudoscience superseded the other pseudoscience. Goody.
Yeah, Einstein showed that it was the curvature of space-time and not an invisible force that superseded Newtonian principles. It's like the word "and." Like to argue about the word "supersede" means that you. I just can't understand how they can. How ballers. I don't actually think there are any ball earthers anymore. I think all the ball earthers are actually just flat Earth haters. They're not actually believing that they're on a ball.
I think you're exactly right.
Yeah, they just hate flat Earth.
Yeah, I've said it all along. Our
And I've
competitors
just said
aren't.
that, Anthony. This is what I've just been trying to say. They hate what flat Earth represents, and the globalist. It's not the globe; it's the globalist system. What they offer. So the people that are running this world, if you believe in their ideas and their model, well, then you get offered these things in this world. You know,
They're called lollipops and fancy pants.
so this is what I'm
That's
saying. It's not
exactly
that
what they offer.
they
Yeah,
know the
hold
Earth
on.
is flat. Of
Hold
course
on, you
they
gotta,
know.
you
When
gotta
you're speaking
credit
to a
him.
ball earther-
Oh God! Shout out to Owen Benjamin. There you go.
When you're speaking to a ball earther one-on-one direct, and you're saying, well, what can you do? You know, and when it's immediately go to they, we, they. So you know that they know that they can't prove that the Earth is a globe. So you're just dealing with someone who knows the consequences of it being flat. They have
You're
to think.
talking
Okay, so
past
now it's
Anthony
flat.
though, Spurs. You're right, and you're talking about the globalist system for normies in normal world where they've just got a general cursory indoctrinated belief in the globe, whereas Anthony's talking about what I call anti-flat earthers, the people who previously had the tiniest of tiniest channels, but in the last 12 months since we've all had our feeds cut from the recommendations in YouTube, the only thing that does get recommended is now what I, like I say, call anti-flat earthers, globe heads in other words, and they're not the people who are dishing out the fancy pants and lollipops as Arwin puts it. They're just our competitors who are thoroughly indoctrinated, probably all depressed from what I hear from some of their behind the scenes videos. I shouldn't laugh. If you're dealing with pain, we are here, we are the cure. Come and share your pain. Shout out to Earth is Seriously Flat.
One way or the other. Either we solve it or we help you out of it.
Share your pain. Shout out to Earth is Seriously Flat. He says, Globe possesses zombies. Love defending pseudoscience. You're damn right. Earth is seriously flat. Thank you.
By the way,
chat.
Nathan, I would like to add something on top of your explanation for all these flat Earth haters, because I think that's what's really happening to them is they tried to defend the globe, it didn't really work out, and they're now just in a waiting mode. Like, okay, I'm still gonna back the globe, but when is the progress coming? Because we're in a corner here. When are we finally gonna get the help that we need in order to win this argument?
What help?
And that seems to be how they're now acting.
No, Armin's right because they keep on asking. No, Armin's right because they think about it. The ball earthers are asking us, well, where's the model? How does this work? How does that work? So they're doing exactly what Armin's describing.
Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, yeah. Come and ask me about models. I'll tell you all about them. Anyway, I just want to make my point. I want to speak to that. Hold on. Life is what you make it. So all those people with their hands cupped going, I need a new model, please. No, they're pathetic. Life is what you make it. Don't be that guy, going, I don't know what the sky is anymore. You've got to tell me what it is.
You know what? Models are like math porn. It's just better to do without.
Well, and also a model can be debunked. Reality can't. Model can be debunked.
They don't know where to turn to, you see. It's like, well, if you guys have realized that everyone's lying to us and the scientists have got it all wrong, well, then what is it? Come on, help us.
No,
like you're saying.
Wrong. Pseudo-scientists, pretender clown, spinning ball, space monkey, religion worshipping zealots have got it wrong. Science is an empirical method that you can employ to establish the cause of an effect. So scientists haven't got it wrong. If they're applying that method, they're just applying that method. The people who claim to be scientists, Neil deGrasse Tyson is one of these pseudo-scientists who is punting science. He's not science. That's a reification fallacy. Science is a method. So science hasn't got it wrong. People just use science because we were told early in education that science proves things, and it does. But pseudoscientists use just so stories, which they'll change because apparently, according to said pseudoscientists, science doesn't prove things. Well, it doesn't when you haven't adhered to the empirical method of science, making what you claim a just so story pseudoscience. And that's what we're dealing with. That's what's wrong. We've got to get this correction. Science isn't the enemy. Science is on our bloody side as flat earthers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's clear. That's clear.
Oh, Nathan,
preach of-
it's science abuse. Maybe we should address
No,
science
it's got a
abuse for a
term.
moment.
Anthony uses this term all the time. He points it out. It's got a very specific definition. Pseudoscience, a claimed application of the scientific method where none applies. That's what they are, pseudoscientists. And what are you going to do if you're not a lawyer but you want to go out to the law courts and practice law for a high cost? Well, you're going to call yourself a lawyer, even though you're not. Well, they call themselves science, and they're not.
Hold on, Nathan. Look, a pseudoscience isn't necessarily bad. He could simply be reaching beyond his capabilities
Maybe
and
not.
just trying to figure something out.
Maybe
But it
not.
is when it is on purpose that they abuse the science mark to knowingly peddle pseudoscience, that is when it becomes science abuse. It's not just speculation anymore. It's actually falsifying science.
But the definition of that is pseudoscience. That is the definition of pseudoscience. I'm sure Anthony will back me up if we could get a word in. But as you say, the people who are punting our world with a non-force force that gives rise to a force that's not actually a force, because it bends a conceptual medium known as pseudo-Ramonian force space. That's the geometry of Einsteinian world reification with balls in bending fabrics. That's what they're telling us is our world. Yeah, they make it clear it's a model. Shout out to Earth is seriously flat. Blaming gravity for everything, angry globe possessors. Indeed, gravity 12 months ago was the answer for everything, right? Everything you came up with was always gravity's the answer. Now we're like, ha ha ha, not a force. But yeah, that's a lie, an overt one. Even though they do say the word model, they're telling you that's where you live. They're telling you you're on a sphere. They're showing you Google Earth and it being a spherical map of your world that you're supposed to be standing atop, with gravity not pulling you to the centre because it's bending a conceptual medium and all this crap that goes along with it. I see that as a bloody outrage, if I'm honest, Darwin, and it is an abuse of science, but that terminology is pseudoscience.
Let me present the reason why Rumpus is a fake scientist, and Arwen, you can play devil's advocate and you can say why it's wrong. Nathan, would you present my screen?
You're on.
All right, so we can... Anybody that... The practice of science is on screen. This is just one of many definitions, but it's the one that Rumpus took issue with the other day. And the science is... I mean, the bit I'm going to focus on is the blue bit. Does Rumpus and co... Are they involved in the intellectual and practical activity encompassing the systematic study of the structure and the behaviour of, and we'll focus on this bit here, the physical and natural world? Well, what's physical and natural about the lights in the sky, for starters? Can we prove that they're physical? Yes, they are.
No, I've got to stop here. That's the only bit they can have. So pseudoscience, pretender clown muppet, what's his name? Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's the only thing they can have. They can have the first step, that yes, that's an observed phenomena.
Yeah, but is it physical? They can't denote that it is physical, right? But anyway, this is the bit, observation and experiments. This is the bit, this last bit, and experiments, the bit where Rumpus fails in my submission right now to Arwen, because he's not practicing science. He's not doing experiments. He's preaching it, but he's not practicing it with experiments. He's just preaching it based on observations. That's why he talks about gravitational lensing, gravitational this, gravitational that, anything to do with Einsteinian is all observation based. None of it's got any experiments because they can't satisfy a definition of experiment. And this is where the pseudoscience bit comes in. A collection of beliefs or practices mistakenly being regarded as based on scientific method. Well, we all know your independent variables, your presumed cause, and you have to give it a bit of a wiggle. That's cited everywhere. Yeah, you could probably find one or two that don't expressly mention it, but all the other ones do. So there is a genuine pattern in the cause to be the thing that you manipulate. Well, if you don't manipulate it, it's not science. So on the one hand, he isn't practicing the experiment part to qualify as science, but on the other hand, he is also failing to do or comply with scientific method. That puts him squarely into pseudoscience if the failure to qualify for science in the first place was met, which it isn't. But if it was met, he's clearly in fake science if he's in science at all. But Rumpus isn't even in science. He doesn't satisfy the definition of either.
And with that, I'm going to say, well, first and foremost, a shout out to Sean Little G, who says, rockets go up, rockets are real, bam, gravity is real. I think not. But all the same, if you want to see the continuation of this conversation, then you'll need to click in the info box and go to Nathan Oakley channel, which is going to have this conversation continuing later on this evening after the Quantum Eraser launch at 8 PM UK time. So again, check out the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel, subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you in that premiering stream chat at 8 PM this evening. If you are watching on the Nathan Oakley channel, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. A massive, huge, enormous thank you to all of today's live panel for making this debate possible. Also, of course, a massive thank you to all of you in the live stream for tuning in, smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing to the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel in time for today's launch. As I say, stay tuned if you're watching on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
So soon, probably it will be ready at some point. Because I think at the end we'll end up down to quantum mechanics, proving gravity, and disproving gravity, I mean, and proving other stuff.
Are you serious? Quantum mechanics proving gravity?
No, I meant disproving gravity.
Oh,
Sorry,
right.
mistaken.
Well, I don't need it needs anything to be disproven. There is
No,
simply no proof for it.
In general, that will end up to quantum mechanics.
Did you hear his reply? The one? Did you hear what Owen just said?
No, I didn't get that.
Can you repeat what you just said, Owen?
Right. There is no field that is gonna disprove gravity because there is no proof for it in the first place. So everything will probably end up disproving gravity.
Yeah, I know how I said it. It wasn't the best way, but I just mean that we'll end up discussing quantum mechanics, and that will be used as their total demolition.
Right. Well, maybe you should formulate it slightly. Sorry to be pedantic, but let's say that quantum mechanics will end up not being able to prove gravity because they will try it.
Right,
Owen, what's your take on black holes?
Hey. Quantum Eraser in the house. You've got 600 subscribers. You clipped over 600 while that live stream was going out. I was shouting out your channel and getting people to subscribe in time for your first premiering stream.
Unbelievable, man.
604 subscribers you're on. I wonder what it's going to be when this goes out after the fact. So we're now in the after show, right? I mean, I'm going to end this after show shortly and go live again on the second channel. But the God, I got a load of
You're
feedback.
echoing bad, man.
Yeah, who's causing that feedback? Hello.
It's John, obviously. He's just joined.
No,
I think
he's
the
hearing
echo is
it.
all yours, John.
No,
We're not hearing
it's
it.
not. I can't see his line moving. Anyway, just close your mics if you're not talking, please. Anyway, keep the enthusiasm level high. So brilliant, yeah. Lots of people have subscribed. I'd be interested to see when this goes out at about this bit will probably be about like 11 PM, about 3 hours after your show starts. I'd be interested to see how many subs you've got then, given that it's now at 604.
Yeah, it's quite shocking, man. It's overwhelming to see how many people. I mean, I don't know what to say. All I got to say is download, upload,
You're going to
processing.
up the army with all these subscribers, John.
Download, upload, processing.
No, don't bore people with the behind the scenes bit. That's boring for the audience. There's an audience now. John's really excited about his YouTube channel.
Nathan, can you?
It's about time, John. I mean, what have you been doing all this time, right?
Did you mirror that ad, Spurs? Like you said you were going to. Like you said you were going to be the first to be doing it.
Yeah, well, I mirrored it on my channel. Oh no, I didn't mirror
heard.
it.
Do you know what I heard then? I heard. Yeah.
No, mirror. I just realized what you meant. No, I didn't upload it to my channel, but I did share it though.
So the wavery meant no.
No, sorry, no.
Nathan, can you repeat how many subscribers does QE have right now?
604.
With me it's 432. What the fuck?
Oh well, you should be mirroring this. I was like, anybody with over 100 subscribers should be mirroring this.
I don't have that much, but he has 432 now.
I got 605.
By tonight, that will be 1,000, I think.
Oh, don't
Yeah,
jinx
I
it,
just
Spurs.
refreshed and it's 430
Don't jinx it.
subscribers.
They're sharing it live.
Obviously, I want him to be at 1,000 by the time his first show comes out. That'd be awesome.
I'm sorry, I opened the channel now. It says 605.
Actually, picked up a subscriber just during this conversation.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Way to go, Nathan. You're a machine, man.
It's not refreshing on the search when you put in YouTube.
I was talking to my wife about it this morning, actually, Quantum Eraser, and she was saying, well, it's off the back of your enthusiasm. So it was the same when I was setting up my website. Big shout out to William Gensker, who helped me do it. But, you know, off the back of me working, oh God, close your mic if you're not talking. Whoever in the Hangout's causing all that feedback.
It's somebody in Discord or John.
It's not. It's someone in the Hangout.
It's not in the Hangout. It happened.
I know who it is. I've got the lines dancing.
Oh, it's
someone
Tenth
in
Man.
the Hangout. Please mute if you're not talking.
It's 10th Man.
I'm not saying anything.
Yeah,
Doesn't
but you are
matter.
echoing.
It's Darren. So
I can see the stripes in your channel going.
I love it when we're plugging so beautifully with such enthusiasm, and John's giving his humble appreciation, and then it descends into an argument about he's causing bloody feedback. So if you're watching on Nathan Oakley channel and you've just subscribed and watched John's first upload, the similar thing happened with William Gensker. I didn't know what I was doing particularly, but I was getting all of my stuff onto the website, and he could see that I was working really hard doing it. And the same has happened with Quantum Eraser. He's gone and gathered up all of his material and actually put in the hours and got it all, you know, organised and uploaded. And yes, it's tedious and it's very hard work, but off the back of that, I'm like, I'm keen to help him and plug it and tell other people how much they should be plugging it and mirroring that video and subscribing and all that good stuff, because it's what, you know, part of my live show. How much effort is it really for me to just open my gob, move my tongue around and say, go and subscribe to Quantum Eraser while I'm doing a show anyway? Let's be honest, it's no effort. But the amount of effort QE is putting in to actually have a bloody channel, and all the work he's done to produce the material in the first instance, which is like, what, 3 or 4 years worth of material? It's immense. So, you know, that's the work that I'm in appreciation of, but when I'm shouting him out and telling people you should be going and subscribing, because you should.
Hey, John.
Yes, sir.
Happy birthday to your channel.
Yeah, it is the birthday, isn't it? I got to write that down. That's a good idea.
What do you take, though? This is me with my Weasley launching. So I did a little soft launch, as in I got the mirror of the ad onto your channel so that it's obvious that that is the right channel when someone arrives. But that isn't really the first video, is it? So, but that technically is your first upload. So you could really say that Tuesday was the launch 2 days ago, but I'm not going to. I've been saying the official launch is Thursday, right? When you've got an audience and people are watching a video, it's not just there for 30 seconds on their own. That's the launch. So I'm going to say Thursday's the birthday. You know, it's being squeezed down the tunnel at the moment.
And John, a big,
7 subscribers.
a big chunk of your audience, John, will be ball earthers. So I think if you ban, you know, a lot of the ball earthers in the chat, you know, that will, you know, you don't, you know, so I'm saying you want to kind of keep them there if you can.
There will be no bans.
Yeah,
you're
just
not
try.
going to ban anybody.
That will increase the number, because then they'll know that they're there
Yeah.
to stay. You know, they may say 1 or 2 things to try to trigger you initially, but you know they'll calm down and then obviously they'll get into a discussion. So I think that's what you want in the long term, right?
Yeah, you want to trigger me?
John's never in the live chats anyway. Sorry to talk over you, John. He's never in the live chats anyway, is he? Let's be honest.
I'm just saying that's where you'll see a lot of the activity, and you know they'll be definitely trying to. First show, you can imagine what will happen. All the ball earthers will be there in force, which will be a big chunk of the audience, and you know they'll be just. A lot of them say, "Right, I'm going to go in there see if I can get banned."
No, that's not going to happen at all.
They all like say, "Oh, let's see if we can go and get banned." And So they kind of just try and tease it. So just
No.
no price to it or anything. Just let them.
No, that's not gonna happen, Spurskimo. You know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be a giant troll spam fest.
No,
What they always do.
just Arwen, you confuse excitement, for trolling. This is a brand new show.
I'm talking about experience. It's a fresh start. So immediately, a lot of socks are gonna start trying spamming until it's under control, and then it's gonna presume being.
But I think, like I said, I think the majority of people will be born earthers, and that's who you're trying to convince and target and turn over, right? And
No.
the key.
No,
the flat
that's
earthers
incorrect.
are already flat earthers, not the flat earthers.
Yeah, that statement was incorrect.
When I say born earthers, I just mean people.
So, kids.
All right, go ahead.
So, kids, what's all the excitement?
Hey, you excited for John's show tonight?
One question:
John
is it going to
show.
be a live show?
John who?
Look, this is going to get confusing because the show's going out. So I am going to have a second live show on the second channel, so don't go anywhere. But I'm going to round out this particular stream for all of you watching on the Nathan Oakley channel. A massive thank you to all of you for tuning in. Hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Obviously, as the occasion suits it, even though it's just gone out as a launched channel now, go and subscribe to Quantum Eraser. There is a link in the info box. I'm sure I've spammed it during this particular show, so be sure to subscribe, be here or be sphere. Again, a massive thank you to all of today's debating panel for making this after show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!